Hello? I can't see you. I can't. I can't see you. On the count. Oh, there you are. All right, guys, this is part 2. I had to make sure we're not going to get cut off here. So we're doing another one. This is so fun. I decided to continue my birthday celebration here. So again, I am Cherri Valentine. I'm the host of the People of Entertainment, but this is kind of just something for me to have fun with on my birthday, and for me to introduce a friend of mine, Christopher Crossland.
Hello again.
So Christopher is an actor, a model, a voiceover artist, a musician.
Right. I used to play viola, which as a little kid, my mom said, I want you to know, well, education. She was very big in that. As a special treat, going to the library, always going to the library. But she got me into classical music, Baroque music, and all those genres. So that led me into later on playing the viola in an orchestra. And I found out my favorite was film scores. I could play E.T., Star Wars, Superman, all the way through
Cool.
with the orchestra, and never even look at the sheet music. I just remember, and now I would be lucky to be able to play Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star, pizzicato style.
Cool. I'm still trying to get some of my fans and some of my people that I manage here to try to join the Zoom so we can just have a party and have fun and talk about things. So tell us a little about what you've been doing lately.
Getting things ready for it's what I want to do is like film scores, kind of, sort of, / new age music. I really got into that through a program on, I think it was NPR, National Public Radio, or one of those channels I can't remember, called Hearts of Space. So we would have all these wild, crazy punk rock parties, playing, punk music, playing bass and all this. And then Sunday, you wake up in the morning, you're doing all this stuff. Sunday afternoon, you're just trying to, hey, I got to clear out the system here, get ready. So Hearts of Space would come on, and everybody would know we got to go, man. So I could listen to this. So I really got into that. So I'm trying to get my recording studio set up to start writing full time. And I hear it in my head. And so all I got to do is just find the notes, match it up, and put it together. So my style is going to be a little bit different of, what was that? Alice in Wonderland. There's a video game of Alice in Wonderland, and they did a soundtrack. So if you play I forget, when was it, 2000s or something, several years ago. It's the McGee version. You've heard me play that.
Yes.
I want to write stuff like that, sci-fi. I'll do a lot of space stuff. Blade Runner will be a huge, I have every soundtrack from Blade Runner 1 and 2. All versions, I have that. Mad Max style. Also want to do like the fantasy, legend, Labyrinth, Willow, Conan the Barbarian, all these things with new age music and space music and horror. Through at UNA, I did one. And David, our very good friend of ours, no longer with us, unfortunately, King David,
Right.
He heard it and he was really looking forward to hearing my album when it came out, because he heard all the music I wrote and he just fell in love with it. He said, that is unreal. And he said, just think, last year you didn't even play the keyboards. This year you're doing this. And so really getting ready to do that. I'm getting all my packets set up where I could change the sounds, and then making the one shots, and then you put it all together. It's hard to explain if you don't know music and film scores, but it will have sound effects as in a real film score, that because some do and some don't add the sound effects. And I can do voiceover work, so I can also do some of that.
Right. And then we also started the YouTube channel for the Ren Fair. So we've been going out and doing interviews of that. That's kind of, you started being the host of that, and I was behind the camera, excuse me, on that. So we started to, and we've been doing that. It's sometimes it like with this, fans out there, trying to get people who are not used to being in front of the camera in front of the camera, even for just a little bit, is extremely difficult a lot of times. So it's really hard, especially Ren Fair people who kind of really don't want to be in front of, they don't mind dressing up and going to the fair, but they really don't want to be on camera doing it. So getting people to do that, except for the teachers. Now, a lot of the teachers don't mind helping us, and we had a lot of great episodes. Tell them about Dr. Ben Lowe.
Yes. The ones that know me in real life, I love fish. I love the smell of fish. And so when we did the one about the fish oil, and I haven't looked at it, it's been a while because, you don't just sit back and rewatch your stuff. That's really weird to watch any movie or TV show or whatever you've done. It's just hard to go back and see it. It's just, you feel weird. Like, there's all these phrases you could think as I'm stuck on myself or whatever. So I haven't seen it, but which is the fish oil? You remember that one?
Yes.
And his question, because everyone gives the same reaction. What do you think of this smell? And I smell it. Now, most people, it's an ungodly fish odor, smell, very pungent. I got a Lucy in here. I didn't even know she was in the recording studio.
Show everybody Lucy. Can you show her?
Lucy, come here. Lucille Ball, come here. Yeah, thank you. Good girl. There, this is my Lucille Ball.
This is another rescue that we kind of rescued. We've had her since she was 3 months old.
I've taught her how to give 5. Can you give 5 on camera? Good girl. All right. That, I love that, guys. Okay, hop down, little girl. Be careful. So I was supposed to, oh my God, it stinks. It's horrible. I'm so sick at my stomach. And the reaction I give is, that smells good. Let's go eat fish. Which was not, because then my response would trigger the response that a university professor would give. And I threw the whole train. Everything was run off the tracks. I even messed up the tracks on that one. So I seem to do that.
He said, "You did it again, Christopher," because we had done one before.
That was the second time.
The first one we did was about the color purple and how it's made.
Mm-hmm.
So he was asking Dr. Lowe about, how long does it take to replenish them, and what did he say?
Snails. You would get the purple from the snails because they would have to crush the shells. Well, if you crush the shells, and snails live in that was the end of the snail. And he looked at me. I have no friggin' idea. And he said, no one in all these years of teaching, and he does archaeology on Pompeii, and there was another island that in my mind, I can see the maps, but I can't remember the name of the island that he did. So he does all this archaeological work and historical work. And he said, no one has never asked him the question. He said, I've never even thought about it because it's already over with. But to me, I guess I always ask the odd questions that throws the whole train off the tracks. And I did that all through high school. I remember one of my teachers really quick, you have to learn this. Well, I don't want to learn it. You have to. I said, why do I need to learn how to do this? It was math. And he gave me the obvious reasons, like, okay, I'll learn it now. And I learned it past the class. But knowing why something and asking all these weird, bizarre questions, that's me. I will think of the weirdest questions that is very logical, but no one else thinks of these questions. So little odd. I mean, I love education and knowledge, and
All
I
right.
learn something every day.
Since you ask these weird questions, come up with a weird one to ask me.
Oh, well, usually I have it's more set, but I don't know. Now, say you have really thrown me for a loop this time, and now you have derailed me. Oh, where do you expect to go, or how rich do you, so we can come back and look at this? I mean, it's the quickest thing I can think of. That's a weird question.
Where do
Where
I?
do you think this channel will take you?
Well, I'm hoping a friend of mine had suggested that we put it on Spotify too. And I'm hoping to be the next Perez Hilton there.
Okay.
So, because I have a lot of cool friends in the entertainment industry here, and I know they like talking about themselves as I like talking about the things I do, and you like talking about things you do. So I was
Right.
like, well, let's just help each other out here. So,
It's
yeah,
fun. I mean, I enjoy listening to entertainers talk about what they've done.
and
I absolutely enjoy it.
I do think Perez, sorry Perez, but sometimes he kind of like goes on tangents and is has his views of certain people, and I'm just trying to just promote people and help them share the things they do. So I want to be the sweet little Southern girl out there. But I really like doing the podcast. I like doing
Right.
that. I also want to do, uh, as I was telling my fans, I've had health issues the last few years, and I'm just coming out of that, and I'm feeling so much better. I think you can see that
Right.
for the longest I didn't know what was wrong with me, didn't know what to do, and everything was just awful. And then I went to the hospital last year, and it changed my life, and I learned how to eat the right things for me because I'm a diabetic. So,
Now, you have taught me some things that until these two car wrecks I've had, never had an issue. But I gained weight myself and didn't understand why. Because I hurt all the time, and I've had two surgeries and ruptured disc in the neck and lower back. So got problems there, but I didn't know things that most people knew was fattening. I had no idea. And you showed me a lot of things and my doctor has told me some stuff. I changed my entire diet.
right. And
I,
I didn't either because I love potatoes. Potatoes were awesome, and I'm a big pasta fan. So, I was thinking, okay, pasta's not that fattening, is it, right? But it is for me because it's got a lot of sugar in it. So that really made me sick. So I was eating potatoes and pasta and beans, and they're the only beans I can really eat is green beans. So, all these things that I like.
well,
And
see, you've always laughed at me because with meal, I like 3 to 4 vegetables in my meat. Most some people say that's crazy, but that's what I like. I like more veggies. And tonight, when I know what time it is, I'm looking at the big clock over there on the studio wall. I'm like, I've not even had dinner yet, but I'm eating salmon, 3 pieces of salmon, just normal size, and 3 veggies at least, because
and
it is kind of later.
and I did share on my page, which I don't have it now, but I shared how I looked from then to in just a year, how much I've changed, because now I have just like a fruit for breakfast and a salad for dinner pretty much, and just some low carb snacks in the middle of it, and that's all I have. But I also work out, and you can attest to that. You see me
Yep.
working out sometimes. So, I wanted to post on my page to help other people because I know how hard it is, because I was terrified when I found out that I was diabetic. And I think a friend of mine, Dawn Sparks, she's diabetic, so she helped me, not like hyperventilate when I first found out about it, because I first went to stores and I'm like, oh my God, I have to count carbs on everything. Oh my God, I'd never be able to do this. So it was so difficult getting out of that habit of just, going through and just throwing something in the thing.
Right.
Now I have to pick it up and I have to look, and I think a friend of mine was saying, oh, you can get these low carb pizzas that are frozen and you can just put them in the
No,
microwave.
no.
And then I started looking at the carbs, and it's a tiny pizza like this, and it's like 60 carbs or something. I'm like, that I can only eat half of that, because for me, my doctor said 45 carbs per meal, which I don't even eat that much per meal now.
Right.
But so I was like, that's not anything when I could have a giant salad with way less carbs and fill my stomach a whole lot more. So I've my doctor kind of taught me, you got to eat to live, not live to eat. And okay, so I like pizza. Let me just find a way to have pizza. Don't And I know there's some friends of mine, and you and I went out to eat with them, and they still do this. They say, well, I didn't eat what I should have for breakfast, so I'm going to just go ahead and have this bread and this pizza. And I said, no, you don't do it that way.
But that's their choice.
Right? But in order to be healthy, if you want a pizza, you have a low carb pizza bowl, and you don't do your bread, you don't eat it whatsoever, because that's going eventually. And from what it does to me, is if I didn't eat my fruit for breakfast and I go and I have the pizza, and if I did have the one with the bread, that's going to make me have to do the insulin that I don't like to do.
Right.
So I'm not going to do that. So I'm just going to eat like I ate before.
I mean, I have to look at cans for sodium.
Right.
I've never have really liked a lot of salt taste. Until recently, I just open up a potato, slice it, little butter. Butter does have some salt in it. That's all the salt I need. I'm done. And that's all I like on a baked potato is just a little butter. That's it. But I've never been a salt person. And now I have to really make sure that I don't eat salt, because like you're sugared, but then my sodium goes up, and I'm like a veggie like you are with sugars. But I can sit down and eat a large piece of cake and a bowl of ice cream and just sit really still like I did as a kid, and it doesn't bother me.
I think what we've learned now is, along with the eat to live instead of live to eat thing, it's like, who's stronger, you or your craving for food stuff. So when we go to Cracker Barrel and we see all that little thing of candy there, and I remember all the wonderful candy that I used to like to eat, and the Reese cups are really awesome there. But I always think, if I just have one little bite of one, I'm going to get sick, and I don't want to shoot that needle in my arm. I'm done. So who's stronger, me or the craving for the Reese cup? So,
Well, it's like for the people who drink too much or drugs. I don't want to be a slave to anyone. Who the hell wants to be a slave? We ended that shit a long time ago. Thank God for that. So, do you want to be a slave to drugs, alcohol, and all these, and food? Food being sugar, salt, because I got to have tons of salt, and they're doing this constantly.
and we were eating out one day, and we saw this lady just shaking it, and we're like, Lord God.
I couldn't do it. I would puke. I mean, I like it more natural flavoring, and if you cook a steak, the more natural, the better. And if I put A1 sauce on it, you did a bad job on your steak, or it's bad meat.
And basically,
Like,
when I first started this, I thought, because my breakfast before was like cinnamon roll or something, or sugar cereal that had tons of sugar in it, which I didn't know that was hurting me. But so when I first started this, I would go to the pharmacy and buy those little bars that tasted, really sweet, but they were low carb.
right,
But then I kind of realized that I also like some different kind of fruit.
right.
So
That was your, to go to a drug again, that's your methadone. You're making that transition to you learn what to do.
then I learned, well, I can place that in my mind and not have something that tastes sweet like a candy bar, even
Mhm.
though it was low carb, but I don't have to have that because then I really like the taste of pomegranates, and pomegranates are really good for diabetics because if you can eat the seeds and it doesn't hurt you, which it didn't me, I would eat a whole pomegranate and an apple for breakfast, and that would keep me full up until 6 o'clock at night. So, you
I
know,
used to eat pomegranates for breakfast when I was a kid because where I lived at, they would grow everywhere. So I'm walking to school and you reach up and you grab one and you eat it on the way to school as a snack. Now, before I would have orange juice or water, and I'm still that way to this day. When I have breakfast, that's the only two choices I want. Nothing else will I drink for breakfast. Nothing.
right. So now I would rather have the pomegranate and an apple than I would that low carb bar that I bought in the pharmacy for diabetics because I have transferred, I don't know how you call it, but that craving for something that sweet for something that tastes really good like
Right. You did a transition from this life to the bar to a healthier, which is a better choice.
right. So now I still go to the store and I still, like I said, check out everything. And sometimes I will try like I went to because they told me I could have like pork skins and stuff. But then I started checking some of the Pringles things. I can have a few of them as long as I don't have a whole bunch. So now I'm like, okay, I can have a little of this and still be within what I'm supposed to eat. So I can still have a certain thing, like when we go to Cracker Barrel, I have a little bit of a cornbread. I have one or two little cornbread things, but I watch what I had for breakfast because my pomegranate and apple is not 45 carbs. So that keeps me from still having to inject. I can have a little bit.
Which, now, in fairness, that's kind of what the people we saw eating the pasta, the bread, for dinner, they kind of doing that, but
But they're going to a more extreme
yeah, yeah, more extreme.
because I don't want to go to that extreme. So I am learning I can do what they do, but I'm not going to go as far as having a big old pizza there with the bread because no, that I still
Being
can't.
a diabetic for me would really be hard
And I'm
because
still when we go to Cracker Barrel now, I really don't have to have the because I've like gone up the ladder, I guess, as far as what I crave and what I don't. So now I really have the salad and I'm okay at Cracker Barrel with just the salad now. So only on a rare occasion do I go, well, okay, I guess I can have one. So I'm just telling the people out there, there's steps you can take, there's things you can do. Just eat to live, not live to eat, and you will make it because I have come so far and I'm so proud of myself, and I went from hating myself and hating the way I look and to now I'm getting into acting and doing some modeling and stuff. So
right.
one day I'm going to go out there and I'm going to show everyone exactly how far I've come, and you're going to be really amazed at all this stuff. So I'm
Well,
just
was talking about weight and modeling and acting, something that I don't understand, and it still goes on, but I can think of several people that are larger than the skinny people, and they're actors, but that's real life. I want to see real life in a movie. Yes, you have all these stars, and then I can think of some people that are just really good. I mean, they are the star of several of the movies I've watched, and they're females, overweight, and they're the star of the show, the movies, and they're hilarious. I mean, just that's what it's about. So everyone's different, and everybody, shaming this person that, well, you're not. Who cares?
right. And I
So do what's right for each person.
Right. And a friend of mine, she's diabetic too, Heather Faust, and she was telling me now she's her diabetes is so much different than mine that it doesn't really matter what she's still going to have to do the injection.
Mhm.
But you can work with your dietitian and see if there's a way that you don't have to, if you can regulate it. And
Mhm.
I have just come down to the inch of what I can do and what I can't do and what I can splurge with, like the little chips every once in a while, or the thing at Cracker Barrel, the what do you call it? What's the bread thing that
Cornbread and
cornbread? Yeah. So anyway, there I've gotten to the point now I can have a little something, but I really try my best to stay within just a very strict thing, which a friend of mine from LA was telling me, that's a little boring what you have to do to eat. And I said, yeah, but I'm healthy and I'm happy and I'm coming so much further than I was a year ago. So,
but when I was modeling, I knew a lot of the girls and their diet was about like that. And they could only have so much of whatever in the salads and the drinking water, and everything was regulated and managed and weighed for their food.
right.
So they just could eat anything. It was all, and they ate the same thing every single day. And that's how you get girls that are this tiny. But then again, when you take a girl like that on a date and you're going to dinner, and I'll just have a little tiny, and in 2 seconds she's done eating and like, but I'm eating a meal. So that was always a weird thing. So I kind of understand what your friend was saying, but on the other hand, that was just because you have at that time you had to be a certain size to be a female model.
And nowadays, a lot of restaurants are becoming more healthy. So even you and I are having a little bit, we can go more places than we started out going. So there's a
And
lot of
mine
things.
is degree nothing fried. I had to. We still got time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Somebody just mentioned me. I'm on my desktop, guys. So if you hear a ding every once in a while, somebody's telling me happy birthday again.
But for me is, and I guess that just lost the whole train of thought for both. But oh well, I mean, I've changed my diet, and I have to watch the sodium and watch the grease, and then we're fine.
Right.
But that,
So and there's a lot of places that have salad, so I'm okay with wherever we go.
and in the southern states, you go to have dinner. What's on the menu? Grease and salt and bread. That's the main thing, and that's just when I lived out west in Vegas and Montana, it wasn't like that. And then I've gotten more adjusted to eating the fried fish here, which I found out was very bad for me. So I've had to really learn how to do a lot of cooks. So now I can
Yeah,
cook salmon and
guys,
it's still tender and moist.
when we started out doing this, he was eating chicken and what was it? Oh, chicken fried chicken, and on top of that chicken fried chicken, he had brown gravy, and I was trying to explain
Sometimes white.
but I was trying to explain to him that brown gravy is really bad for you. And he was like, "Are you kidding me? I've been eating this all that time." And I was like, "Yeah." That was
And then my doctor explains, the other sides of the fried and all this more so than what. So, well, it's not greasy. Or I eat fried shrimp. Well, I peel the bread off, always have my whole life. I just didn't want the bread on it, but you always, and it doesn't matter, it's still in there. Oh, I didn't know that because it sounds like I'm ignorant as hell. But if you never think to ask the question and never put, the facts together and think about it, hey, it tastes good, eat it, go. And then all of a sudden you're having to be injected with tons of steroid shots every month or every other month, double doses, steroid pills, Z packs, and you're eating bad food. Guess what happens to you? You expand. And you don't realize it. All of a sudden, like, wait a minute. these t-shirts that was loose is getting kind of tight. And you realize, and then your doctor says, do you want to live to be 100 plus? Yeah.
Which that was behind both of us. We both look young, so we're like, I don't want I don't want to die young either. I want to live as long as I can and have a good time as long as I can. I'm trying my best. I tried many diets before this, before I knew exactly what was wrong with me. So now I do, and I'm like, I'm not going back. I can smell sugar now from a mile away because I haven't had it in over a year and a half. So, and I think a few times you tease me, don't you want some of this? And I'm like, hell no. No
But
way.
as a kid, now I didn't eat tons and tons of candies. And for Halloween, I would only eat certain types of candy, like Three Musketeers, peanut butter cups, and things like that would be about it. And then the peanut butter kisses, they always come in the orange and black paper. I love those. But I would trade a lot of my candy off for collectibles and toys and comic books. So I'd go working on Halloween, save up all of that, and go trade it off for comic books and toys. So that part wasn't, never had an issue with candy, but pies, and because my mom decided to learn how to cook really good, so she would make the pies and the cakes, and boy, she taught me how to do it. So I can really make cakes, and you've tasted them like chef quality. I know how, but you can't live on that. So that's all, and breakfast. That's all I really ever learned how to really cook. And just go out and buy it, go here, and all of a sudden, like, well, everything's closed and everything is grease and this and that. What do I do? And so now I'm learning how to cook all my veggies and my chicken, which is baked, and salmon's baked, and that's all I eat now is baked and broiled and boiled.
But we're still having fun. We're still, it's not that we're depriving ourselves of anything. We're just
But a
eat.
lot of actors on stuff, I mean, their diets are very, very strict to go this. But I mean, we got off on how you got us in this direction, but
Well, let's see. I do know.
Mhm.
I thought we were going to make this about me, and then we keep coming around to you here, don't we? So,
Well, it's you. I mean, just
but well, I was thinking about when I was queen, we learned how to do a whole bunch of dances, and I was going to tell them about the funniest shit because Christopher cannot dance for anything.
when I was younger. Now, when I lived in Las Vegas, I was invited by all the people, and I want to say it the right way because they was my friends, very personal friends, to dance with all the brothers. Um, hip hop and all that. I could do that time. I could dance like Michael Jackson. Now it's really, really rough, and that's about it. And I dance like Beavis and Butthead. That's it. And I'm okay with that. I'm fine.
I well, see, I'm such a damn nerd. So when I got queen, because I think we didn't even tell them on the last part of this about the feast, because at before the Renaissance Fair, there's a feast, and at the end of that feast, there's a big celebration. Everybody dresses up that's in the fair for all the people that want to see us, and then they have a king and queen on a high table. So at the end of this, they pass around some cookies or cakes, and inside one of those is a coin. And so you try not to like stick the whole thing in your mouth because you choke on that coin. But if you win the coin, you get to become queen or king for the next year. So I got that. And me being a nerd, we have maybe from October to January to figure out what we're going to do. But within 2 hours, I already had everything I was going to do and even my name because we get to have a whole persona where we're from and all that. So
Right.
it was an anniversary year. So since we're the sister city to Italy,
Hmm.
I decided I wanted to be from Italy and who was the biggest people at the Renaissance period in Italy at the time, or at any time. They were the godfathers of the Renaissance. It was the Medicis, or as in England, Mr. Crossland, he's from England, he would call them Medici. So
Well, I'm right. I know it's your country, it's your thing, but I'm English from Yorkshire. I'm right.
so
You're wrong.
the English pronounced it Medici, and the Italians pronounce it Medici. But I decided I would be a Medici, and then I picked the name Anastasia because not only is that also an Italian name, but it's also, is it a Russian name because of Anastasia
Mhm.
Romanov?
And
And I
there's several other countries that has that name. So
so
it's widely used throughout various cultures.
So I love the story of the Romanovs too, so I wanted to incorporate that in it. So you can see where all this nerd stuff is coming through. So not only that, we get to choose the theme of our feast for the next year, and I already chose that because I was like, okay, we're Italian. I walked in Walmart and I saw a mask because it was October, and I thought, okay, let's have a masquerade ball. That's what they did in Italy, right? So
I loved it. I was in on like that sounds fun because I thought of one movie which got me in trouble with someone who didn't comprehend what I was trying to say. The
so
Ballroom Labyrinth.
Oh, yes. Oh, so Christopher says he wants to, have a similar outfit to David Bowie's. And somebody that was in the fair thought he was going to have the tights and everything with a little junk hanging out. And he's like, no, that's not what I wanted to do.
That's not period. We are education and historical, so therefore I wanted it right. But work with this and then find the right, and then I got it.
Right. So then we had the masquerade thing. So we had everything set up, and I think the Billy Warren, the one that I have my kitty cat. Anyway, Billy Warren said, "You do realize that you guys had until January to come up with all this," and I was like, "I've got it all set up like within 2 hours." So
Yep.
he was all amazed, like, wow. And we did. We had a masquerade ball, and I think everybody had a really awesome time. And that's getting back to the talking about the dancing and Christopher Can't Dance, because not only did we have the masquerade ball, the Queen wanted to do some dances of that time during our feast that we had to entertain the people. So we had many, many practices of learning how
And
to.
I still have two left feet. I still do it.
So, but we had a ball. We had very much fun learning how to do those. And somewhere there's a something that shows us practicing one day having to do it. But that was so much fun learning to do those dances, and I still remember them. And I think William Freeman taught us those. So I want to thank him for teaching us those
And
things.
it's not his fault. I have two left feet and cannot. No, he's a great teacher, guys. If you can dance just a tiny bit, he can teach you to be a master. He looks at me and shakes his head and says, "That's one student I'll never win. He's a loser." So I will provide good laugh material for you. You can laugh at me because I am laughing harder at me than you can ever laugh.
So here we were, the queen and the king have to be in the front of everybody, and everybody else has to go behind us. And I'm like laughing my ass off because he's like 2 left feet dude over there. And I'm
Right.
trying to keep my composure because I have my mask on a stick and trying to hold my hand with him on the next. And he's like trying to count his steps because William tried to teach you how to count your steps, and that was even worse because you were concentrating on counting and not where your feet were going. So we're just like dying laughing, but it was so much fun. So now
I probably dance if I've never in the show seen Sheldon, Big Bang Theory. Him and I probably dance the same. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what I would presume, just the way we think on that part.
but it was so much fun, guys. So if you ever get to come, to the Renaissance Fair here, it's a really awesome thing, and the feast is awesome too because we put on a big show for everybody. During like I was telling you about me being a nerd, I even learned to speak Italian. So at the very beginning of the feast, I had a big welcome speech in Italian. So
Mhm.
there are some of us who really go all out when we try to do this to make it awesome for people to learn about history. So
Right. It's we enjoy the Renaissance Fair quite a bit.
and I do know there's a secret when you are king and you pick the coin one day, what you're going to do. I know you don't want to discuss that, so
Nope.
nobody gets the
Only
secret.
a few people know it. That's it. Because no one's thought of this. I've never heard of this done. So, it's going to stay there, but I'm ready for it. And it is going to be a blast.
And I think Ben knows about it and Darlene.
Ben,
Uh,
Darlene, and Ben.
right. So,
There's
and
a couple, someone else right now. I can't think of. Oh, Justin, the one that made the mask for
no,
both of us. He knows about it too.
Justin just went to the Rose, is it Rose Bowl parade?
On New Year's Day.
Right. And it was that in California.
Yes, California.
So he just went there and he's a very awesome with flowers and
Oh,
arrangements and stuff. So he got to do a float this year.
he is good, guys. I mean, the stuff he did for when you was queen on my Facebook page, which I think Facebook actually took it down. I had 3 pictures of that, and I think they've deleted it. Facebook did. So I need to put it back up there. But I had a picture of the high table where I was sitting at, looking at everybody, and it shows the dragon and the flowers.
Yeah, he was awesome.
He's incredible. I mean, if I need floral arrangements for anything, he is on speed dial. That's it. End of story. He's the one. I don't call anyone else. Sorry. You can't tempt me out there in the world. You can't tempt me.
Well, let's see. I'm going to ask myself this question and then ask you. So, who inspires us in the entertainment industry? So, I'm going to say Tim Curry inspires me an awful lot because of all his he can go from one extreme to the other in his roles. I just think he's so awesome. And I first learned about him with Rocky Horror Picture Show, and I that's the first man I've ever found sexy that's in women's underwear, but he was. I'm sorry. But he the that was just an awesome, and that's one of my favorites, and you even bought me a Christmas present once with the Tim Curry uh
Mhm.
little
I
statue.
got to go when I think it was I was out west, one of the parties they have where everyone dresses up, and my outfit was god awful. It was just crap because I didn't know what to do, But I'd already seen the movie so many times, but I was able to participate in the audience with, and that was a great. So you need to do that one time in your life since you love the movie too.
Right. And I was saying, talk about range. He can go from Lost in Space to, all these. He was a
That was Gary Oldman.
oh,
You're
duh.
thinking the wrong one. Guys, Gary Oldman. Sorry, guys. Another nerd and a geek here.
Well, Tim Curry and Gary Oldman,
Right. Oh, yeah.
both of them. I just think they're awesome. So Gary Oldman is the one with the range. I'm sorry, that's right. And Gary Oldman did Legend, right? Did he do the monster in Legend?
Mm-mm. He was, well, he did.
He
Yes, he did. Tim Curry was the devil.
Okay, see Tim Curry. They both of
Did
those
that.
I like so much. I get them mixed up together. Sorry, guys.
Right. Gary Oldman also did Sid Vicious
Right.
in the movie.
And he did
And
so well. I think he really portrayed Sid Vicious very good in that one.
when I do what's it where you put the face on the Sex Pistols, or I did that.
Re-
Now the reface, everyone thinks that is really cool with my face over, because the ones that knew me when I was in my early 20s, like, yep, that's Christopher right there, all hardcore punk rocker right there, just like Sid Vicious, playing the bass just like Sid Vicious.
and I think and it's several musical artists that really shaped the way I feel about music.
Okay,
And
who are they?
well, Prince is one of them because he's just such a musical genius. And
Oh,
I
definitely. I love Prince.
you know, the way he wrote things, Raspberry Beret was a story in itself if you just sit back and think about it, the way he wrote that.
A
And
lot of them. They're great. He's a great writer. And then a very good friend of mine introduced me to Sinead O'Connor, Nothing Compares to You, which is Jackie. And she said, I know you like punk and all these other, heavy metal and stuff, but listen to this. I fell in love with the song. The words, and then later on I found out he wrote it.
right. So and Queen, you know,
Yep.
I mean, he's awesome. What's his name again? Uh, People are gonna hate me
Freddie
now.
Mercury.
Freddie Mercury. Now, when you get old and you have a birthday as many years as I have, some days, somebody's name just kind of totally gets wiped out, especially when you're trying to talk for 2 hours here. But yeah, Freddie Mercury,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he did an opera and made people fall in love with an opera. I mean, who
Oh
would?
yeah, he's great.
He's
I've
awesome.
heard all of his music. And I've got a lot of it on my playlist.
Right. And, we were talking about this before we started the Zoom. I was dating a guy and he loved the Sex Pistols. And here I am, just a little country girl, and he said, I want you to listen to this. And I think he thought I was going to be so shocked. And he was like, so what do you think about him? And I was like, I like it. Can you play another one? And he just kind of, huh? You like them? And I was like, yeah, I like the Sex Pistols. Play another. And he played the whole album. And I'm like, I think I've got another one I like. And he's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I might like pop and I might like, those kind of things, but I like more than just one thing. So I do like the Sex Pistols. I like the music. Then I like Blondie and I like Joan Jett. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of people that inspire me, and there's a lot of things that inspire me. Like when we were kids and we still watch cartoons and stuff. And that Wonder Woman inspired me when I was a child because I would see Linda Carter and I'm like, one day I want to be a strong, powerful woman like she is. And she still inspires me because she is beautiful,
The
but she's also
character of Wonder Woman is great. As a kid, people would laugh at me as a boy. Why do you love Wonder Woman so much? Why not? What is wrong with a woman being smart and intelligent and strong and kick your butt
but
eight ways to Sunday?
they didn't make her arrogant either
No.
though. They made her kind and considerate over animals, over people. So
Mhm.
that's what kind of, inspired me when I was a kid. It's like, not only is she beautiful and strong, but she's also kind in her heart. And that's just, and I still have Wonder Woman symbols everywhere around me now. It
Right.
reminds me to keep going and keep being strong, but also be kind and love nature and love people and love animals. So Linda Carter, you've inspired me for the rest of my life, I do believe. So tell
Oh, yeah.
me some of the things,
Well, now with me, it's a loaded question.
right.
It's not one simple answer. For acting, I was a little kid in a theater and looked up and saw this actor. And he wasn't the main actor, but he was a character actor, which I found out later that's what you call him. And I thought he's so cool. And he had a mohawk. So you probably know who he is now with a mohawk. And then it was another character I fell in love with, Mad Max. And later on in life, I got to meet him and hang out with him, Vernon Wells. And he was the guy that had the big mohawk. And I just said, that's it. I want to do that too, is be a character actor. And then later on, he said, we're talking and he said, hey, what do you want to do? I told him, he said, don't you want to be the main star, make more money? I said, yeah, but there's that. I guess that's nice, but look at all the lines. And I don't memorize lines too great. So he said, exactly. He said, they come at you with a stack this big, learn your lines, you got 7 days. You show up, that morning, oh, by the way, we postponed that script. Here's a new script to learn. This much, 7 days. Oh, you're a character actor. Here's your script. And once they get to know you, but here's the idea. It becomes an idea and you kind of work with it once they know what you can do. So I thought that's where I want to fit in right there as a character actor. So he's one. I love black and white, the old stuff. And I could say this, Jack Benny. I love Jack Benny, Burns and Allen. If we're going to go to radio days, Fibber McGee and Molly, and all the writers. And as a kid, I remember on the radio, of course, reruns, hearing all these sci-fi stories. And little did I know later in life, I would get to meet this guy, hang out with him and call him a friend. You know who I'm talking about? Ray Bradbury. So he's a writer.
And there's one more that you have forgotten, Uncle Forey.
Oh, I'm not done. And of course, for what he did, because I remember him saying, call me, you know, because like we went to his birthday party and I forget what year it was. And I remember giving him the birthday presents and we had that big competition.
Right. And
where,
if you don't know who Uncle Forey is, because some of you might not, it's Forrest Ackerman. He was
monsters, famous monsters he did.
Famous
He's an
monsters
actor
of
too.
Filmland, right? And he had Dracula, Bela Lugosi's cape that he wore in the films. And I actually have a picture somewhere. I don't know where we have it, but there's a picture of me underneath Dracula's cape. And that is also something that I will remember for the rest of my life. Like I actually got to be underneath Dracula's cape, which is awesome.
And I wore both, you know, I got to touch the cape and wear the ring for the Mummy and Dracula. The real one that you saw in the movie, I got to wear those. So that was pretty cool because I'm a huge, on the other side over here, tons of horror movies. So I got those. Let's see what else. Another one. There's so many actors that I really, really like. Jimmy Stewart. So I mean, I know I'm naming a lot of the older ones, but they had style, class, and all that. Now, musicians, of course, Sid Vicious, some for the wrong reasons, but he was a character in itself.
And I know you like Love and Rockets.
Yes, Love and Rockets, Daniel Ash. And then when they went solo, David J. and Daniel Ash did their solo stuff. We heard some of that earlier. I love their music. All kinds of rock and roll, 70s stuff. Of course, I got to meet twice in my lifetime, and he remembered me the first time, Edgar Winter. I met him when I was a little kid. He gave me free tickets.
Tell him the story about how you met him.
I'm in Memphis, Tennessee. I'm in the car listening to WHBQ, rock and roll, having a great time as a little kid. And I look across the street and there's a huge club. And I look up and I recognize that guy and that's him, Frankenstein. He did one of his songs, all keyboard, Frankenstein. So took the keys out, locked the car up because I was a precocious little kid, walked across the street, went up to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, are you Mr. Winter?" And he said, "Yes." And he said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Yeah, I love your record. I listened to it quite a bit, Frankenstein." So he shook my hand and he gave me free tickets. So I got to go to the concert that night. Years later, I'm working for Sally Castle Photography, and we got a call in, and they're doing a tour, and they need a person to come and photograph this tour. Well, so they hired my friend Guy Phelps and myself, and we was photographers for his tour. And it was just anything. And I said, "Well, what do you want?" Because sometimes you don't want something. He said, "Listen, we're not doing anything, no crazy. If we do drugs, take a picture of it. It don't matter. Whatever we do, it's okay." So we took a picture of, that little part, not the entire tour, but just that one little section, for one night and stuff, because it was like a 3 or 4 day tour. It was really small at that time. And I said, "Let me ask you, do you remember me? And think of an entertainer. How many people as an entertainer you have to meet? Thousands, right? But we putting myself in the other position, we only know that one person. So we were going to remember that. So what are the odds of that entertainer remembering you years, decades later? And I said, I was a little kid. He said, Memphis, Tennessee. Because what little tiny 5-year-old kid, I think it was about 5, would come up and know who you are, a major rock and roll star like Edgar Winter, and know your music. And, you know, I was just a cool little cat. I loved rock and roll and listened to it. And Led Zeppelin, Houses of the Holy, was my sister brought that home. And she teased me about the naked kids on the album. But for music, there's so many other ones that I really like.
I know, as well as you and one other person that likes punk rock music. There's a country star that you both like. Now, who's that?
Well, I know Ben Bladen likes punk music, but
I
right
was,
now
I was telling you about Bobby, but anyway, both of you like Johnny Cash.
oh yeah, I knew Johnny Cash when I was a kid. My dad and Johnny Cash was good friends. And you hear a knock on the door, and it's Johnny Cash, and they're coming in and they're gonna, you know, have fun because my dad would have like poker nights with friends. And they'd just sit around and they would just play with the chips and, you know, no money involved, just play and have a good time.
And his dad was a professional wrestler, so he's in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. So he knew Elvis Presley, and you went to Elvis's house and you spent
Right,
some time with them and you played with Lisa Marie, right?
right. And what happened, I was hungry. I was over at his house one time. And so I didn't you know, I was hungry. And Elvis says, you want a sandwich? So it was wheat bread, creamy peanut butter. I think it was Jif, Miracle Whip, because that's what I like, the Miracle Whip, not the man, because you know, mayonnaise, nah. So he gave me the Miracle Whip on it, put the banana and apple jelly. And I've liked it ever since. So that's, you know, so he really did eat those sandwiches. And that's what I remember. And doing the slot car races, because him and my dad love slot cars. And a friend of mine here, I was telling him about that. And I asked him, well, did you have slot cars? And he said he couldn't afford it. Because I was telling him we had these super sets. But my dad had stacks and stacks of them. Well, I looked it up and I found an old Sears catalog with the same year when all this was going on. And today's standards, those was like $125 a set in today's money. And my dad had stacks of them. He had them going racetracks, down the hallway, in the bedrooms, living room, kitchen. It was just incredible. And if we wrecked a car, you just go buy another one. No
And your
big deal.
dad was friends with Sam Phillips, right? So that's how
Yeah, my
how
grandfather and Sam Phillips was like blood brothers. They grew up together. So I was just a baby. I didn't know about it. So my dad, you know, my mom was talking, we're moving to Memphis. We're going to hang with Sam, and he had his own companies there, wherever he was at. So he just moved the whole company to Memphis, Tennessee. Then I remember my dad said, hey, Lucy, don't touch the speakers. Leave the monitors alone. She wants to be a part of it. And so what happened? He said, let's go hear a friend of mine. And I'm thinking, is it Elvis, Johnny, Jerry Lee Lewis? You know, because I got to meet him and all these other entertainers that my dad knew from Sun Records. He knew all kinds of country stars and all this. None of them. Go up, and I said, well, looks a little Spanish, so I couldn't think of who it was. I said, well, it wasn't Freddie Fender, Last Teardrops or something. That one, you know, yeah, Freddie, it wasn't him. And then all of a sudden I realized who it was. Sam the Sham and the Pharaohs. And so I went to many of his concerts, but I would get to hang out on stage with Sam. And him and my dad was really good friends. So
and I
they
think
are on my playlist.
when your dad was sick, he requested you to try
And
to.
I could not get a hold of him because it's so locked down at that time when he was sick years ago. I tried and tried and tried. And a lot of his friends that he was really, really close with in the entertainment world, they had all passed on. It was just he couldn't get a hold to his really, really close friends.
And not only that, but we both are inspired by, going way back. We love, Bach, and we love Mozart. So I mean, we can listen to that and enjoy it just
That in the movie, that was
right.
the movie was so great, Mozart, but
And
supposed to have been he was the first punk rocker.
right. That's
Mozart
what I
was.
was telling somebody, one of my students, that because I teach English as a second language to kids, and I was in China, but now we're going global. But still, I told them he was the first, punk rocker, and they were like, "Really?" And I was like, "Yeah," because back then, he was so out there, and his music was so out there. People were like, it caused a big stir, and people were like, "What?" So yeah, so
Now,
we
I thought you started.
I was gonna say, and also the musicals, Chitty 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 Bang Bang is my favorite musical, and I love all the songs to those, and my
A,
bumbo stick.
a friend of mine, I'll go two stories. Um, we had to move to Oklahoma. And then we met a guy, my mom met a guy there. He was going to Oklahoma University. They became good friends until the day he died. And he was a trumpet player. So that's another musician. And this guy was incredible. He could go anywhere and just hold the trumpet up and he got the job. I mean, that's how good of a player he was. He could play anything on the earth with the trumpet. It didn't matter. And he was in the classification as a master. I mean, but he didn't make it. A lot of things, some things happened really bad. So he didn't make it. But he would take me to all kinds of plays. And I remember he took me to My Fair Lady and all these different plays.
I know there's opera that you like. There's some of those that I really don't get into
And
much, but you like opera a
I
lot.
do. I know that's kind of weird, but I like it. And I listen to it and just, it's incredible. I love the Nutcracker each year, listening to that. So we got the trumpet going and we got, the plays going, adding to who I am now. And then he said, I want you to listen to something. If you like it, it's yours. I love it. And I still have it. He gave me part one and part two on 8-track, War of the Worlds by Jeff Wayne. It's a musical and it's on YouTube. Look for it. And then think of that and then think of what I'm trying to write now.
Right now, that's one I like. I love the soundtrack to that one myself. I really like it.
Forever Autumn is really good. And you listen to the words, it's just incredible. But now we're going to go forward in time a little bit. And we move to Las Vegas. I get into the orchestra and I'm playing my viola and that's all I like it. But every time when something would come on, we get to play anything as a film score, I went nuts. I loved it even more. And so my mom said, well, I met this guy and he's really fun. And I want to introduce you and let's just see what happens. Because she wanted me, because we lived in Vegas and all the gangs and street gangs and all this. She was doing everything she could to keep me away from, because if you upset me and I'd go after you and I may win or lose, but I wouldn't back down. So she introduced me to a man named Bill Welch, which he was, and I never say it right, a flute. He played the flute, a flautist, I think it is, or something. Then I find out who he really, really was. Him and Walt Disney was best friends. He played for Walt Disney. He was the original, in the original cartoon, I guess it was, Peter and the Wolf, he was the flute player. So he did a lot of the original stuff for Walt Disney. So I would go over to his house, he would cook dinner for me, and him and I would spend all night playing film scores. And it opened up my mind even more of film scores and that sound. And then, because you remember the movie that you love so much, and when you hear that, it brings you right back inside the theater. And, that goes back to when I was a kid, my mom would say, hey, did you get to go to a lot of movies with your mom
Yeah,
and
I
grandparents? Or
I remember watching now the cartoons. The earliest movie I remember watching is Snoopy Come Home, and that's when I found out that I'm a big ass crybaby when I go to movies. And you know that I can watch King Kong and know what's going to happen at the end, and I'm still going to bawl my eyes out because the monk, King Kong dies in the end. I was going to say the monkey dies, but he's more than a monkey. But anyway, I'm going to cry at it any movie because I really get into it. Not only do I like being in film and all that stuff, but I really want to have the experience when I watch a movie, and I want to get in it. Even though sometimes when we've seen a movie a million times, you and I will have fun with each other, and we'll be the Mystery Science Theater 3,000 people.
right.
We'll start going, oh God, hear this, and we'll talk during the film. But if we haven't seen it before, and as well as I do, if I go to a theater with you or I go with anybody, and if some little asshole wants to talk, I'm
Mm.
going to like shut the fuck up.
Have reverence in a movie theater. Be very quiet. Don't turn everything off. Leave your cell phone in the car. The hell with a cell phone, and enjoy the movie. This is like a church in a way.
Because that's just me. I'm going to say, you shut the hell up. I paid for this movie. And
We've done it
nowadays,
too.
yeah,
We've done it.
believe me, guys, I will do it. I will, even if it's a kid or something. I've gotten up before when some little kids were, playing or laughing in a movie, and I wanted to watch the damn thing, and I just got up and put my hand behind them and said, "Shut the hell up! Other people are trying to enjoy this." And the kids were like, "Oh shit!" So I was
Sure.
like, "No, you're not going to do this when I'm watching a movie because I know other people want to enjoy it just like me."
I
So,
remember in Memphis, my mom took me because we was always throughout the week we go to different movies, and she took me when I was real little, like we're talking around 5 years old or so. Gone with the Wind. So I said, I really liked the movie. It was for a little kid, it was a long movie, but I sat really still and watched the whole thing and didn't make a sound. Went home, and she already had the book, and I read the whole book. I was 5 years old. So I saw that, but she took me to Dr. Zhivago and all kinds of other really classic movies. Just because in Memphis, we could see so many different movies, throughout the week that was like, I guess, rerun or whatever the correct term would be, because it's so many years ago, they would still run it again. And on the weekends, I'd get up, watch my cartoons, eat my breakfast, and then, that's over with. It's lunchtime. And then I get ready, and my mom or dad would take off, and they would go up to the front of the movie theater. And it was like an old timey movie theater somewhere downtown in Memphis. And I forget the name of it. And my dad would wait to the ticket person would see him and wave. And he usually was a girl, but sometimes a guy, but whatever, that they knew I was on the way. So my dad and our mom would wait till I got to the ticket box, and then they would take off. I'd buy my ticket because they all knew me there. This was a ritual every Saturday. And then I'd walk because I got there early. I'd walk real slow and stare at each movie poster because they was all vintage movie posters. And then I would go get my popcorn and my Coca-Cola. Usually it was a Coca-Cola and some candy stuff. And I would go sit down and just as little tiny, we're talking 5 years old now. Up in, for many years I would do this, never make a sound. And if anyone in the theater made a sound, I'd go tell the manager. The manager would come in and throw them out because Christopher did not throw his popcorn, did not make a sound, and watched. I have seen all the vintage sci-fi movies, monsters, horrors, classics and Disney movies on the big screen in Memphis. So that was something that I did. And then she'd buy me on those summers. it's like a little card, and you'd buy it with so many numbers on it. And each movie, they would punch it out. And that was such a cool thing because during the week, we could go watch movies, and they was usually kid-friendly movies. I liked it, but the kids there was very noisy and they would throw the food. I'm like, you're throwing, excuse me, your popcorn. Well, that's good popcorn. Don't be throwing your good butter popcorn, especially because I hated being sticky. You know this. When it
Right.
comes to that, wipe, I'm monk. Wipe. So as a kid, I hated anything sticky, and I still do. I can't stand it. But that inspired me again, all these little things that led to where I'm at.
I think we both are things in our lives and things that we enjoy have inspired us
Mm-hmm.
and, you know, molded us, I guess you can say, to what we are today. So, guys, I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Christopher, for in spending my birthday with me when none of my fans would log in here. So maybe we can do this every day, and then you can learn more about your favorite podcaster, Cherri Valentine, and then you get to learn more about Christopher Crossland, my friend here. So I think we might, if it's okay with you, Mr. Crossland, let's try to do this, maybe every day or every other day or something. We can have fun
Well,
doing it.
depends on the schedule, how we're going to work this out. But what we could do, I mean, since I kind of yammered on a little bit too with you, is do an official, just a whatever that your time limit is for your show, where you ask tons and tons of questions, whatever you do. Because unfortunately, I've not been able to see any of them yet.
Right.
I've been super busy.
From what I heard, it's in the works, and I have to call tomorrow, and we should be. He said it's already done, so I need to check out and see if it's already up right
Okay.
now.
So I haven't seen any of them, so I don't know how long each one of is. Every now and then I might hear a name, but the only one I remember that I know for sure you did was Ben, because I know him
Right.
from Walking Dead, and he's done some other stuff, and a fellow punk rocker. So that one I definitely want to see. And the others, I've heard what I'm not going to say what they do because I don't give spoilers out, but I'm interested in watching them because I've heard what you talk about.
Right.
I've heard what they did, but I don't remember their names.
Well, I think this is kind of going to be just to get to know me, so you guys can kind of know what I'm like and what Christopher is like and what we like, things that we like, and because I have a lot of friends on Facebook that I'm friends with just through Facebook. I haven't met in real life,
Mhm.
so, and I don't get to talk with them as much as I want to. So maybe this is a way to, show you guys a little bit of about the things I like,
Right.
the things that, you know, have brought me this far in my life, and maybe something that we say or something like with the learning about my diets and the right things to eat and things
Mhm.
that inspire you and me both will help someone else sometime. And so
Right.
it
Because I've got some things that's, some secrets. I'm not, as in, I've not divulged it now. People who know me know what a couple of them are. And, my education, and there's something, a secret to go with that. And during the podcast, you can ask me what it is
right.
and how has that affected me my entire life.
So I'm going to end this one. This is part 2 of my birthday celebration one, but I'm going to end it like I end the People of Entertainment podcast. And how I end it is: life is short. Don't spend that life living someone else's dream. Live your own. And, never give up. Never give up on your dreams for someone else's.
Mhm.
So, anything
That
you
sounds
like?
pretty good. I mean, just, as my friend Ray Bradbury would say, the hell with them. Fire the hell out of them. I mean, I've been told you can't do, and that's part of my secrets, And I don't care. I did it.
Right.
Don't give up. Nothing controls you. You control it.
And you know me, before I was terrified to be on camera. So look at me now. I have my own podcast, and we just spent 2 hours now because we have two episodes here now talking about our life like an open book here. So uh,
I think I need to go eat. I'm looking at the clock. I need to go eat something, and I only had tuna fish and a Pop Tart for lunch, and that was all I've had all day.
yes.
And I'm ready to go eat some salmon and watch Boba Fett.
All right. And the puppy dogs will be, watching with us. So,
I'll get Mandy to guard my food because she's a good guard.
right. All right. Bye, guys. We will have another one of these later. If you guys tell us that you like it, we might just keep doing a few of these every once in a while for you. All right. See you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. All right.